My name is Elena Ward, and I'm 31 years old. I make a living finding the truth people try to bury, which is why it's almost embarrassing to admit. I never thought I'd have to use those skills on the man I loved. For 3 years, Daniel was my safe place. Not perfect, just steady. Predictable in the kind of way that lets your shoulders drop after a long day. In my world, people lie for survival, for money, for ego. Sometimes just because they can. I deal with that every day. So at home, I chose not to look. That was my first mistake. We lived in my house. Not ours. Mine. I bought it years before him. Before the softer version of me existed. Back when I didn't trust anyone enough to even leave a toothbrush behind, but I let him in. I let him rearrange the kitchen, change the couch, leave his shoes by the door like he belonged there. And for a while, it felt right. Until it didn't. It started small, almost invisible. "Hey," I asked one night, folding his clothes into a suitcase. "What hotel are you staying at in Vegas?" Simple question. Normal question. Daniel froze for half a second, just long enough for me to notice. Then he turned slowly, eyes narrowing like I'd crossed a line I didn't know existed. "That's not your business." I laughed. "Because that's what you do when something doesn't make sense yet." "Relax," I said lightly. "I just want to know where you'll be, in case something happens." His jaw tightened. "It's a guy's trip, Elena. I don't want you checking up on me." Checking up. Interesting choice of words. "I'm not." And for once, he cut in, voice sharper now. "I want to enjoy myself without feeling watched." Watched. I went still. Because people only say that when they feel guilty. "And the hotel?" I asked again, quieter this time. "No. Flat. Final." Then he added, casually, too casually, "I'm actually going to block you while I'm gone." For a second, I thought I misheard him. "What?" "So you don't annoy me," he said, shrugging. 5 days. It's not a big deal. Blocked. Not distance. Not space. Erased. I stared at him, waiting for some kind of explanation that would make it reasonable. There wasn't one. And that's when the shift happened. Not heartbreak. Not anger. Recognition. Because I've seen this before. Hundreds of times. People don't cut communication unless they're hiding something they can't risk slipping out. And Daniel? He wasn't just building a wall. He was sealing himself off completely. I didn't argue. Didn't accuse him. Didn't give him the reaction he was clearly preparing for. I just nodded. "Okay," I said calmly. "Have a good trip." For a split second, something flickered across his face. Confusion. Almost disappointment. Like he wanted a fight. Like he needed me to be emotional so he could justify what he was about to do. But I gave him nothing. The next morning, I drove him to Carter's place. He was glowing. Phone buzzing nonstop, smiling at messages he angled away from me just enough to hide. Every instinct I had was awake now. But I stayed quiet. Before he got out, he leaned in and kissed me. Quick. Careless. "I'll unblock you when I land," he said. "Don't miss me too much." I smiled. "I won't." He laughed. Because he still thought I didn't know. He grabbed his suitcase, walked up the driveway, and disappeared inside without looking back. That part stuck with me. People who care always look back. I sat there for a few seconds after the door closed. Then I exhaled and shifted. The girlfriend clocked out. The investigator stepped in. I didn't go home. Didn't sit around waiting, wondering, spiraling. I drove straight to my office. Because if Daniel wanted 5 days of silence, I was going to use every second of it. The first step was obvious. Carter. Predictable. Loud. The kind of man who needed the world to witness his life. It took less than a minute. There it was. A photo. 4 of them standing in a driveway, sunglasses, grins, fake confidence radiating off the screen. I zoomed in. Behind them, an SUV. Partial plate visible. That was enough. I enhanced the image, cleaned the pixels, ran the number. 30 seconds later, I had a name. William Cole, senior partner, investment firm, married, 2 kids, clean public image. That didn't fit. At all. Daniel had told me they were flying budget. Cheap seats, cramped rows, complaining about legroom. That SUV didn't belong in that story. So I pulled flight records. Every commercial departure that morning. Vegas routes, layovers, private bookings under aliases. Nothing. No Daniel. No Carter. No one. And then, there it was. A private jet, filed under William Cole's company. Departure time? Exactly aligned with their flight. I leaned back slowly, staring at the screen as something cold settled in my chest. That wasn't coincidence. That was coordination. And suddenly, this wasn't a trip anymore. It was an operation. Still, I didn't jump. That's how amateurs lose control. You don't accuse without proof. You build, piece by piece. So I opened a new file, started logging everything, timestamps, vehicle records, flight data. Then I pulled social media again. And this time, I didn't just look. I analyzed angles, reflections, background movement, because people don't realize how much they reveal when they think no one's watching. And Daniel? He thought I was blind. He thought blocking me meant I couldn't see. But here's the truth about people like him. They don't understand silence. They think it protects them. In reality, it exposes them. And somewhere between that private jet and the lie he told without hesitation, I felt it. Not heartbreak. Not yet. Something colder. Certainty. This wasn't just a boys' trip. And whatever Daniel was doing in Vegas, he didn't just want privacy. He needed it. Which meant one thing. The truth wasn't small. And when I found it, it wasn't going to end quietly. The first mistake came faster than I expected. It always does. People think lies are about what you hide. They're not. They're about what you forget to hide. Maddie, Carter's equivalent in this version, was the weak link, the type who documents everything, every drink, every laugh, every second of attention. If she sneezed, there'd be a story about it within 5 minutes. So when they landed in Vegas, she posted. Of course she did. The first photo looked harmless. 4 men, Daniel and his friends, poolside, sunglasses, drinks in hand, expensive cabana behind them. To anyone else, it was just a vacation shot. To me, it was evidence. I zoomed in, not on Daniel, on the reflection in the sunglasses. And there it was. A woman, sitting at their table. Not a passerby. Not a stranger in the background. Close. Too close. I leaned back, letting out a slow breath. Amateurs, I muttered. Because they always forget reflections. The next post came an hour later. A video this time. Music pounding, lights flashing. Some high-end club. Not the kind you casually walk into without connections or money. Daniel was there. Laughing. Relaxed. Different. That's the thing no one tells you about betrayal. It's not just what they do. It's who they become when they think you're not watching. I slowed the video down, frame by frame. A hand landed on his shoulder. Female. Familiar posture. Too familiar. I paused. Rewound. Enhanced the image. And my stomach dropped. Not from shock. From confirmation. Because I recognized that body language. I'd seen it before. In old photos. Archived files. A name I hadn't thought about in years. Vanessa. His ex-girlfriend. The one he told me was toxic. The one he swore he'd never speak to again. The one who supposedly broke him. And there she was. In Vegas. With him. Smiling like history had never happened. I didn't react. Didn't slam my desk. Didn't curse. I just kept going. Because now it wasn't suspicion anymore. It was a pattern. And patterns always lead somewhere bigger. Chloe posted next. Of course she did. But unlike Maddie, she was careful. Her post was subtle. A dinner photo. Elegant. Quiet. Controlled. 4 men at a table, dressed sharp, glasses raised. No chaos, no obvious red flags. But she made one mistake. The background. A large abstract painting. Distinctive. Not generic hotel decor. I ran it through a reverse image search. 4 minutes later, I had a match. Private dining suite. High roller level. Owned by a casino that doesn't advertise those rooms. You don't book them online. You don't even see them. Unless you're invited. Or owned. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a second. Then I made the call. An old contact. Casino security. He owed me. Didn't ask questions. Just checked. 2 minutes of silence on the line. Then, yeah, they're here. I didn't speak. Suites under William Cole, he continued. And he's not alone. Pause. 4 male guests listed. My eyes closed slowly. Names? I asked. He read them, one by one. Daniel's was third. There it was. No more doubt. No more theory. This wasn't a vacation. It was a transaction. A curated experience. And Daniel wasn't just attending. He was part of it. I ended the call and sat there in silence. Not broken. Not crying. Just recalibrating. Because this wasn't about catching him cheating anymore. This was about understanding how deep the lie went. So I went deeper. I pulled more footage, more posts, more angles. And that's when I found it. A casino lounge video. Grainy, loud, chaotic. But in the background, Daniel, leaning in close, laughing, drinking. And across from him, Vanessa. Not distant, not awkward, intimate, comfortable, like they never ended. I isolated the audio, cleaned it, boosted the voices, and then I heard it. Her voice. Soft, familiar. Missed this. 3 words. That's all it took. I froze. Because you can fake a lot of things, but not that tone, not that ease. That wasn't a reunion. That was continuation. I ran a voice match. Didn't need to, but I did anyway. The system confirmed it. Vanessa. His past. His mistake. His lesson. Sitting across from him in Vegas, like she'd never left. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen as everything aligned. The blocking, the secrecy, the private jet, the executive, the ex. This wasn't chaos. It was structure. Daniel didn't just lie. He compartmentalized. Built 2 versions of his life. One with me, safe, stable, predictable. And one without me, reckless, hidden, alive. And for 5 days, he chose the second one. I should have been devastated. Maybe part of me was, buried somewhere under the logic. But what I felt most was clarity, cold, sharp, precise. Because now I understood something important. He didn't just risk losing me. He planned for it. People don't block their partner unless they're prepared for the consequences. Which meant he thought he could come back. Smile. Explain. Reset everything like nothing happened. That almost made me laugh, because he didn't know who he was dealing with. I closed the video, opened a new folder, and labeled it Full Exposure. If he wanted to live 2 lives, I was going to merge them. Completely. No secrets, no protection, no version of himself left untouched. I started organizing everything. Flight logs, photos, audio clips, guest lists. Every piece of proof lined up clean and undeniable. Not for an argument, not for a confrontation, for something else. Something final. Because I wasn't going to scream at him. I wasn't going to cry in the kitchen while he fed me half-truths and apologies. No. Daniel didn't deserve a private ending. He built his lies in the dark. I was going to bring them into the light. And in my world, light doesn't just reveal. It burns. By the time I finished, the plan wasn't just forming. It was locked. Precise. Controlled. I knew exactly who needed to see what. And when. And how. The airport. That was where it would happen. Where both of his worlds would collide. And collapse. All at once. He thought he was coming home to normal. To comfort. To me. What he didn't know was that I wasn't going to be the one waiting for him. Sunday afternoon arrived right on schedule. So did his flight. I wasn't at the airport. Of course not. I was sitting in my office, lights dim, laptop open, a cup of coffee gone cold beside me, watching everything unfold through a live feed. Clear, steady, controlled. Exactly how I wanted it. The arrivals hall buzzed with noise. Families reuniting, drivers holding signs, strangers rushing past each other without a second glance. And then, there he was, Daniel, walking out like nothing had happened. Suitcase in one hand, phone in the other. That same easy smile on his face. The kind of smile you wear when you think you've gotten away with something. Behind him, Carter and the others trailed close, laughing, carrying shopping bags, still riding the high of a trip they thought would stay buried. Daniel scanned the crowd, looking for me. That almost made me laugh. Instead, he saw her. Vanessa, standing dead center in the arrivals lane, still, calm, waiting, and in her hands, a large, rigid board. The image printed across it was crystal clear. No blur, no angle to hide behind. Daniel, sitting at a blackjack table, his arm wrapped around her shoulders, both of them smiling like they belonged together, like they never left each other. He froze mid-step. It wasn't subtle. His entire body locked, like something inside him had short-circuited. The smile disappeared. Gone. Vanished so fast it was like it had never existed. Behind him, his friends kept moving until they nearly collided into his back. What? Carter started. Then he saw the photo. Silence. Instant. Complete. Vanessa didn't say anything at first. She didn't need to. The image did all the talking. People around them slowed, stopped, watched. Phones came out. Because public truth draws attention like fire. Daniel tried to recover. He let out a short, awkward laugh, stepping to the side like he could just walk past it, ignore it, erase it. Vanessa, what are you? Funny, she said, voice calm, cutting straight through the noise. You didn't look confused in Vegas. That was it. That was the moment the crowd leaned in. Daniel's face drained of color. His eyes darted, looking for an exit, for control, for anything he could still manage. There wasn't anything left, because right on cue, the second act stepped in. A man in a tailored suit approached, moving with quiet confidence. Professional, unemotional. Daniel Carter? He said, voice loud enough to carry. Daniel turned slowly. Yeah? You've been served. The envelope was placed directly into his hand, stamped, official, final. He stared at it like it might disappear if he didn't acknowledge it. It didn't. Inside, a temporary restraining order and a 30-day notice to vacate my house. No contact, no visits, no, we need to talk. Everything spelled out. Legal, clean, irreversible. The reaction was immediate. His grip loosened. The envelope slipped, nearly falling as his hand started to shake. Around him the noise shifted. Not loud, just different. Whispers. Recognition. Judgment. Carter stepped back first, then the others. Slowly. Carefully. Like distance might save them. No one said anything. No one defended him. Because people don't stay loyal when the truth becomes visible. They leave. Fast. Vanessa didn't move, didn't blink. She just held the board steady as his entire world collapsed in front of her. Daniel looked around, desperate now. For me. For an explanation. For anything familiar. But I wasn't there. I never planned to be. Because this wasn't about confrontation. It was about exposure. He dropped his suitcase. It hit the floor with a dull thud. And then, he broke. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just crumbled. Hands over his face. Breathing uneven. Reality settling in piece by piece. No lies left to tell. No version of the story he could control. On my screen, the image held steady. Him. standing in the middle of an airport, surrounded by strangers, alone, exactly where his choices led him. I closed the laptop, didn't watch the end. I didn't need to, because I already knew how it would go. The fallout didn't take long. It never does when the truth spreads in the right places. William Cole's world collapsed first. His wife didn't scream, didn't argue. She acted, filed, locked accounts, moved assets. Precise. Surgical. By the time he realized what was happening, it was already too late. Daniel's friends? Gone. Completely. No posts. No defense. No loyalty. Just silence. And Daniel. He tried. New numbers. Emails. Messages sent through people who thought they were helping. Every one of them went unanswered. My lawyer handled the rest. Clean. Cold. Final. Weeks passed. Then months. 6 to be exact. Long enough for the noise to fade. For the chaos to settle. For everything to reset. He sent a letter once. Handwritten. Pages of it. No excuses. No blame. Just honesty. For the first time. He admitted everything. The lies. The trip. The need for something more exciting. The way he thought he could live both lives without losing either. He said the airport was the worst day of his life, but also the first time he saw himself clearly. I read it once, then folded it, put it away. Not because I forgave him, but because I didn't need to carry it anymore. Some things don't get fixed. They end. And
that's enough. As for me, life didn't just go back to normal, it got better, quieter, clearer. I rebuilt, carefully this time. No illusions, no blind trust. Just something real. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's not that people lie. It's that they think they won't get caught. Daniel thought 5 days of silence would protect him. What it really did was give me time. Time to see everything. Time to understand. Time to end it properly. He gave me a blackout. And I gave him something permanent.